So their social cycle kind of like changes dramatically from kind of like being friends and like living communally to kind of breaking up and going on their own during the breeding season, which usually ranges from April to July. It's kind of like, I don't know, a summer fling, I guess. So I like to think like these birds like to be with their families and friends during the winter, kind of like celebrating Christmas, and then go out on vacation in the summer to breed. That's a weird way to put it, but I try my best. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. I hope your day is going great. Welcome to the Early Bird Weekly Podcast, where we talk about birds. I'm Rutiksha Satish Kumar, and in today's episode, we're actually going to be continuing our facts about the American robin. I mentioned in the last episode that I want to make these shorter, and I think it's easier for you guys to listen to as well. You might get bored in a long episode, and it's easier for me to edit and produce with a better quality. So I think we left off by ending the geography part, but now let's look into some interesting habits of the American robin. So American robins are active mostly during the day, so they're diurnal, and on their winter grounds, they assemble in large flocks at night to roost in trees, in secluded swamps, or dense vegetation. So this is a unique habit for them, as they assemble in large flocks to kind of do this communal, roosting. Communal roosting is pretty common in a lot of birds, and they do it either to be warm or to be safe. And in this case, I think it's both. So they roost in secluded swamps or dense vegetation, which adds to their safety and warmth as well. The flocks break up during the day when the birds feed on fruits and berries in smaller groups. So they don't stay together all the time, probably just only during the night, and they break up during the day and come back during the night, I suppose. So during the summer, American robins defend their breeding territory and are less social. We can see that these birds have different habits in different seasons. We just learned about how they do communal roosting in the winter, and now we're learning about how they're less social in the summer. So they might have their own reasons for it. What I'm predicting is that in the winter they need more warmth and safety, so they want to roost together, while in the summer they can just be carefree, like they can do whatever they want, so they choose to be less social. But they do defend their breeding territory. So they might also have another reason of why they're not very social. It's probably because they're breeding. It's their breeding season. They need to protect their eggs, their nestlings, which is very important for these birds to keep the populations growing. So to go more deeper into this, American robins break up their large winter flocks during summer to establish and defend individual breeding territories. During the non-breeding season, robins rely on communal living for safety and efficient foraging of scattered food sources like berries. But this social structure is incompatible with the reproductive cycle. So their social cycle kind of like changes dramatically from kind of like being friends and like living communally to kind of breaking up and going on their own during the breeding season, which usually ranges from April to July. It's kind of like, I don't know, a summer fling, I guess. So I like to think like these birds like to be with their families and friends during the winter, kind of like celebrating Christmas, and then go out on vacation in the summer to breed. That's a weird way to put it, but I try my best. Anyways, they are frequently seen running across lawns, picking up earthworms, and their running and stopping behavior is a distinguishing characteristic. These birds forage primarily on the ground for soft-bodied invertebrates and find worms by sight, and even sometimes by hearing. They can hear worms, that's a new thing, pouncing on them and pulling them up. These birds do have a good sense of sight and hearing, it seems like. These birds are actually seen running across lawns, picking up earthworms, and their running and stopping behavior is a distinguishing characteristic. So that's something unique for them. Like these birds, when they forage or find food, they usually kind of run across lawns, especially when it's like a rainy day or after a rainy day when the earthworms come out. They do that a lot, and that's like a unique thing that they do. Yeah, and they also like pounce on them and they pull them up, which is such a bird thing to do, to be honest. Yeah, quintessential bird worm relationship. Another cool trait of this bird is its ability to sing. American robins are often among the first songbirds seen as dawn rises or hours before, and they last as evening sets in. So these birds are full-time singers, I'd like to say. They usually sing from a high perch in a tree. Males have a complex and almost continuous song that is commonly described as a cheery carol. So it's kind of like caroling, except all the time, not just in Christmas. More habits about the males, especially. They're very defensive. They defend their nesting territory, especially as we saw during the breeding season. They attract mates. So a lot of birds have different, ways to attract mates, and in this case, in the case of the American robin, the vocal behavior of the males is the primary way to attract females. So this vocal behavior is driven by hormonal changes associated with the breeding season and is most prominent in spring and early summer. So I'll attach a little audio of how these American robins sound. I hope you enjoyed listening to that. So speaking about American robin males, these males are actually very defensive of their nesting territory. So especially during April and July when they're breeding, they don't want anyone near their nests, and they're actually really defensive. These males also have to attract females, so they do this by using courtship displays. Courtship displays vary in each bird, and they're really, really interesting to see. A lot of these males go out of their way to attract females, especially if you see birds of paradise. They form or they choreograph entire dance routines to attract females. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not, but the thing is they tried. You can only try when it comes to love. Anyways, coming back to the American robin, some of the male courtship behaviors include singing, visual displays, and ground gestures. So these males actually use loud, clear whistles to defend their territory and to signal their availability to females. So their singing actually has two purposes, so dual purposes. So these males don't just sing, they can also dance. So they perform courtship flights involving singing, fanning their tail and wings, and inflating their white striped throats. So they can do everything. They're multi-talented. I'd be surprised if a female is not impressed. They also do ground gestures, such as when approaching a potential mate, males may raise and spread their tails, shake their wings, and hold their bills open. So just to show them that they're open to have a mate. If you want to learn more about courtship behaviors of other birds, there are so many sources out there you can look at. It's very interesting. You can watch documentaries. They usually show that. It's a very big part and an important part of bird lifestyle and animal lifestyle. So these American robins also communicate with various calls used in specific situations. So they're very good at communicating, and they use different calls for different reasons. So for example, when a ground predator approaches and when a nest or another American robin is being directly threatened, they might use a specific call to alert other birds. Even during nesting season, when these birds become very territorial, they may still band together to drive away a predator, which shows that they're still friends. So it's a very interesting thing to see. They can maintain their independence but also work together, which is very similar to kind of human lifestyle. Like, we all have our own homes and we still hang out with friends. We still go out and we value human connection. And these birds are no different. They're independent, but also they value the safety that connection brings. Yeah, interesting. So in this case, American robins work together to defend themselves through alarm calls. This behavior is seen in other birds too, especially black-capped chickadees. These alarm calls can sometimes save these birds' life, most of the time save these birds' lives. And it really shows how important communication is between any organism. Now let's go into the mating habits of the American robins, which are just as interesting as their communication habits. So, these American robins are serially monogamous, and they usually form pair bonds that last only during one breeding season. So serial monogamy means kind of coming together for one breeding season and then finding another mate in the next breeding season, and so on. So they never stay with one bird. They keep switching for every breeding season. They begin to breed shortly after returning to their summer range, and they normally have 2 to 3 broods per breeding season, which lasts from April to July. So their nest is most commonly located 1.5 to 4.5 meters above the ground in a dense bush or in a fork between 2 tree branches, and is built by the female alone. So this is not like an all hands on deck kind of thing. It's a solo project for the female, which is amazing. The outer foundation consists of long, coarse grass, twigs, paper, and feathers, and this is lined with smeared mud and cushioned with fine grass or other soft materials. And a new nest is built for each brood. Yeah, so every year a female builds a new nest very intricately. Nest building is an amazing skill that is unique for birds. I don't think I can build a nest even if I tried. And I feel like these birds should have so much patience and skill to do this, and we need to appreciate that. And on that note, I really do appreciate you guys listening to this episode. I'm gonna have to end this episode here, but thank you so much for listening. There is going to be a part 3, which is going to cover all the other facts. I'm very excited to release that as well. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye!